Alright everyone, so welcome to this portion of the High Income Accelerator where we talk about creating effective and clear goals towards achieving your financial freedom. And this portion is usually a response to many people who always say that I want to make more money, I want to achieve financial freedom, but when you ask them like what exactly does financial freedom mean to you, or do you know exactly that number or the amounts that you want to achieve for you to say, hey, I've hit financial freedom, and this entire video training will help you exactly these questions as well. And I'm boiling down all to a very simple 5 questions. I've taken all my research, my learning, my observations, my study for the past 10 years, and just dissected down to just 5 main questions. And if you answer these 5 questions well, by the end of this video training, you'll get an absolutely clear idea about what financial freedom means to you. Okay, so now let's get started. So the first question is going to be a bit more broader, a bit more exciting. But remember, we are as the questions go by, we got a lot more specific, get a lot clearer. But the first question is just really about asking, why do you want to be financially free in the first place? Like, what does financial freedom mean to you? Because at the end over here, you may have a lot of ideas about what you want, but the purpose of this portion exercise, is really to understand what do you want at the end of the day. Okay, so what you're doing, so you're going to be pausing a lot and really just to reflect on your own time about what financial freedom means to you, and the first main question, first thing we're going to do over here, is to deploy what we call your top 8 to 10 exciting life goals. This is something all my clients have done, a lot of my past students, the people around me I've supported, and I realize most people don't even know what excites them, what drives them in the first place, So when you're first starting on this exercise, you don't be too practical because we'll start narrowing down later. But right now, is do a bit of a brain dump, about what experiences. So the first question, what experiences do you want in life in the first place? If time and money was not object, what's your desired lifestyle? What experiences? Is it to travel around the world in a cruise ship? Is it to go to all the Disneylands in the world? Is it to have holidays whenever you can with your family, your friends? So what kind of experiences will you want, and what would you like to own? It can be material. What kind of cars do you want? What kind of equipment? What kind of iPads? Some of you might like a Gucci bag, Not me, but the question is, what experiences, do you want to have in life in the first place? And this portion can be as material as you want, You don't have to please anyone except yourself. So this is number 1. Number 2, in order to have all these experiences above, how do you want to grow? What sort of person would you like to evolve into? So because of course, having things are great, but at the end of the day, for a great quality of life, it's about the kind of person. So for me, I want to be someone who is able to speak, to coach, to do great, but also to create both passive and active impact, to people, in society, around me. So the question is, how do you want to grow as a person? And lastly is, how do you want to contribute? So for me, it's always going to be about high performance, high income, high fulfillment, and so if you have experience above and you have grown in these remarkable ways, how can you give back to the world and make it meaningful and fulfilling for you, and how do you want to contribute in that? And what you do, is really just to go and brainstorm it, with a bigger focus on this portion, because this time it's about financial freedom, so it's about desired lifestyle. So you really want to go through, and I'm going to give you some examples over here. Okay, so for example, what you can do is create a table, You can copy and paste it and do it on your own. Is it travel multiple countries, Being part of nature, Going to Africa, For me, I want a house with a nature resort-like experience. I want to have ample time with my family and friends, Not having to worry about work all the time, I want to be able to invest myself, my health, and going onsen, massage, pools, And of course, I want my own help and assistance to do what I really want. For terms of growth, I want to always have been investing in part of masterminds and networks for business, top global masterminds that cost $100,000, $200,000 per year, That's my end date, for me, as a person, I do want to learn how to be a stand-up comedian just for fun, I want to learn how to be a great coach, teaching, I'll be well at multiple topics. I'll be great at helping people with psychology, and the impact, the contribution I make, is to, in terms of productivity, business. I'll be a mentor, be an angel investor for startups, I'll be able to write books, create interviews, I want to be a proponent for mental health, and I want to be help the environment as well. So you want to write this down, make it as concise as possible, with let's say a bit of a greater focus on experiences, but I can use all this as a model. And at the end of the day, you can pause this by very soon, to think about what are your top 8 to 10 exciting life goals that will inspire, drive, motivate you, and what you feel is worth living for. And this is my 8, I want a Tesla car. I think it's going to be exciting. I want a house with nature resort. I want some helpers, assistants who can do what I really want. I want to travel regularly around the world. I want to create active and passive impact, for the work I want to do. I want to create ample time with my family, my friends, optimize physical health, right? And I'm investing mastermind. And you also can do a vision board, right, to make it a bit more visual, a bit more exciting as well. And this is something that you can always do. Okay, so so over here, right? So what happened, right, is my suggestion is, if you think that this is a bit of a cliche, right, or this is something that is not so important, you really want to go and I recommend you to actually do this, right, because this can help you a lot. You can just do it in a virtual board, right, something that excites you. So this is first question, right, so far. What you want to do is to pause this video, right, and to by the next time, you should be able to write down your top 8 to 10 exciting life goals. If you do not, we cannot continue the exercise, so you want to make sure you get it done. So pause this video right now, right, and write down your 8 to 10 exciting life goals based on the questions, right, that we're gonna ask. Okay, so if you're watching this right now, you should have already paused this video. You should have already written down your top 8 to 10. Again, if you don't do the work, we cannot help you. This video, right, is not just for you to watch, feel good about it. This is actually for you, right, to actually write it down. So the next one, right, is to really ask yourself, how much will your version of financial freedom require? Right, and the next part I'm going to do is just to research and list down some of the dream expenses, right? And note that the numbers do not be exact. It can be your best guess, right? But of course, don't be too overly unrealistic, right? Or too low or too high, right? Try to have a good range with the numbers. And what you do is to research and list down for your top 8 to 10 dream expenses, right? Generally, how much do you need to generate to achieve it, right? So for your travel, your transport, your house, your clubs, your food. And my suggestion is over here, right? You want to add a buffer of about 10 to 20% for inflation, for things that might not have accounted for, right? So that you have a much better, more accurate number for you. So over here you can see, right? So in terms of annual costs, right? You realize that, okay, for Tesla it's maybe about 24,000 per year, right? For a house about 60,000 per year, right? So I put all this over here, and I realized, okay, before my buffer, right, a year I probably need to generate about $440,000. Right? If I add a buffer about 10%, right, it means I need about $480,000 per year, which goes down to about $40,000. So if I want to achieve my dream lifestyle, I need about $480,000 per year. And if you remember when we watched the introduction, we talked about the 4 stages of financial freedom, right? So for me to hit what I call financially, right, independent, right, or financially free, right, I need to make at least $480,000 per year. Okay, so right, so the next question, right, over here, once you got your number, right, don't worry, we'll go even deeper right now, right? So again, pause this video, all right, so that you can get these numbers down, you can copy and paste and add it in, right, so they have a good idea. And later, there'll be a calculator for you to input all these numbers. Okay, so the third question, right, will be pretty simple, right, for now, because later we'll adjust it, right? Because remember, one thing that my mentor taught me a long time ago is that there's never an unrealistic goal, but only an unrealistic deadline. So for example, if I say I want to be a billionaire by tomorrow, it's going to be pretty unrealistic. But if I say I'm a billionaire in the next 20 years' time, the next 30 years' time, and it becomes a bit less unrealistic, it becomes a lot more possible for me to achieve. So it's not about the goal that's unrealistic, it's about the timeline, the deadline you're giving yourself. And so note that this question is a very subjective one. It depends on the level of lifestyle you're willing to sacrifice to achieve your dream income. So let me give you an example, right? So for me, right, I can choose to say I want to achieve my 40,000 per year in the next 5-7 years, and I'm going to hustle my way. I'm going to save every dollar. I'm going to eat cup noodles, right? I'm going to sell everything I can, right? I'm going to live very simply, right, to achieve my dream income sooner. Okay. However, for me, right, I still want to enjoy my life right now. I still want to go for my wedding. I still want to enjoy my life. I still want to go for holidays, right? So I'm okay. I'm very happy, right, to enjoy my life right now. Take a bit of money, right, to go for concerts, to go for travel, right? Even if that meant extending, right, my timeline to achieve my desired goals. All right. And so the question for you, right, is what are you willing to sacrifice, right, in order to achieve goals? Well, for me, I'm able to give myself 10 years as of this time of the video, right? Some people might want to do 2 years, 3 years. Right, for example, I was in the tech startup space, right, a couple of years ago, and a lot of them, right, people were raising like millions of dollars of funding for the company, but they still chose to pay themselves a very low amount, right, of $1,000, $1,200, right? In Singapore, it's freaking little. And why is because they're willing to scrimp on their lifestyle right now, right? Because why they can save money, reinvest in the company, and make it more likely for them to have a good exit, right, at the end of the day. So the question for you, right, is not about whether it's right or wrong. The question is how long, right, are you willing to take, right, to achieve your dream lifestyle. If you have a partner or spouse, right, it'll be very useful to discuss with them as well, right, so that you're on the same page. So for me, I also had it with my own partner, right, for me to say, okay, right, I'm not going to scream too much, we're going to enjoy our life still, but I'm going to take a bit longer than what we could if we wanted to do. Okay, again, you don't have the perfect answer. You can do a rough range of years, right? So for me, it's about 10 years, right, and you'll see all come together when I finish the question. So what I do right now is pause this video, ask yourself, do you want to give yourself 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, all are fine, right? If that is your target. Okay, so if not, let's move on to the fourth question. I hope you have already answered the first three questions so far. If not, right, you realize that you can't really get much value out of this entire video training. Right, the next one is going to be a lot more specific, which is how much are you committed to allocating, right, your income to towards your financial freedom. So you can check this resource out by the 6-jar management system, wealth management system, to check it out. So this one was big credits to the event I attended, right, about close to 10 years ago, the Millionaire Mind Intensive, and they introduced this thing called a jar system, right, where every month, right, what they recommend is to allocate, right, or to automate, right, a certain amount of your salary, right, into all these different sections. Right, one for necessities for your bills, one for financial freedom, right, your investment account, right, we'll talk about growth in a separate video, your long-term savings, right, your long-term savings, right, for big long-term ticket items, your house, your renovation, your wedding, right, so and so forth. Education, you always want to upgrade and grow yourself, right, for books, courses, masterminds, programs. Play, right, about 10% to have fun as well, and 10% for giving, right, charity and whatnot. So one thing to know over here is not that the percentage you have to fix it in. The whole point of here is to allocate. So you can do 5%, 7%, up to you, right? The whole point is to build a habit. And the most important one over here is financial freedom. Why? Is because if you really want to achieve financial freedom, you should pay yourself first, right? By this book called The Richest Man in Babylon, right, it talks about the concept of paying yourself first. And pay yourself doesn't mean your bills, right? It means towards your financial freedom. Alright, so what I do right now, right, so usually it's 10% minimum, but all you just to do is to decide, okay, what is, right, the allocation for each person, based on your income, your overall salary, right, that you want to allocate there. If you're entrepreneur, right, if you're entrepreneur, right, yourself, right, my take is usually have a monthly income that's quite fixed, and the rest will be performance based, and use your fixed income, right, as that base, right, of where you're going to allocate all these financials to, and the rest is just a bonus. Okay, so, right, you should be doing this, right, and because why, right, the next portion, we'll be using a calculator, right, to fill in those numbers. So what you should do is to pause this video right now, right, get those percentages there that is relevant and useful for you, and then we'll move on, right, the next part of the training. Okay, so if not, let's move on, right, with this portion. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more. I'm going to hide this first, right, so that you can take a look and focus a bit more later. Right, so what I love about this system, right, is what I call the AAA system of aspiration, allocation, automation. And what I love is that it's a one-time setup, right, for lifetime benefits. So the first thing is aspiration, and this will be based on the first 3 questions, right, that we just asked, right, in this entire video training. Right, so number 1, right, you're gonna ask yourself, okay, so what is your target income financial freedom? So let's say for me it's $40,000 per month, right, and how many years do I want to give myself to achieve the goal? So let's say I give myself 20 years. Right, to achieve the goal. So not too fast, right? I'm giving myself good ample time, right? Because I don't want to sacrifice too much of my life right now. I'm okay to give myself 20 years. Okay. So the next one over here, right, is what's your projected safe percentage return per month? And what do we mean? This projected safe return is once you hit your target investment portfolio, right? What's a percentage ROI every month that you feel can reasonably achieve, right, to hit, right, your dream lifestyle. Right, so this one shouldn't be too many, 1% per month, right, for me. But typically, I would say the range should be between about 0.5 to 2.5%, right? So if you are doing more, if you are a bit more safer and not so exposed in investments, right, you should definitely do a bit lower, right, at least about 0.5, 0.75%, right? If you're a bit higher, you've done options before, you do crypto, you do staking, and you know that you're pretty good at it, right? You can put it on about 2%, 2.5%. So for me, I'm a bit more conservative. I'll put it about 1%. So when I write this 3, right, it will give me a number of $4 million. So it means for me to achieve financial freedom, right, that means to achieve the investment portfolio give me financial freedom, I need to hit it about $4 million, right? And so $4 million, right, it means about 1% per month, right? I'll hit about 40K, and that will hit my dream lifestyle. Okay, so that's how I calculate it, right? So remember, this thing to know is a very simple one, right? Please go and consult a financial advisor for more detailed numbers, but this gives you a very clear idea, right, that I need $4 million to hit, right, my target financial freedom number. Okay, so what you do is next, right? You want to write down what's your current investment portfolio size. So let's say for me it's $250,000, right? And I don't mind allocating about $3,000. So over every month. So what does this mean? This is the amount every single month. Of course, it will increase as your income increases. But generally, how much do you feel you can add in every month, right, to contribute towards your financial freedom? So let's say every month you can put 3,000. You want to put less, you can do that as well, right? And you'll see how does it affect some numbers later, right? And these are just some additional numbers for you to take a look. Okay, so right, the what happened is going to give you, right, a number over here, right? So number one, how much additional money do you make every month? So obviously they're just giving you a good cadence of, if you want to hit financial freedom in your target number of years, right, what is the percentage ROI, right, you'll need to generate, right? How much money do you make, right, to get there? Or, right, if you continue putting this amount of investments, and every year you need to achieve about 18.5% ROI every year, right, to hit your $4 million. And here I recommend target, right, should be about 5 to 25% max. Because for example, let's say you say I want to give myself 5 years only. You realize that you need to hit 180% every year, which is not very realistic, right? So for example, you say, okay, I'm making this 10 years, right, and I only want to give I only can put in $1,000. You realize that you can't really hit this, because why? 98% ROI every year for the next 10 years is going to be quite unrealistic. So what you should do instead, right, is, okay, maybe I can put myself a less reduced amount. If, right, you discuss it with your spouse, your partner, and you made a decision, right, you give yourself maybe a longer time, okay, and maybe you don't mind putting in a bit more, okay. And you realize, hey, okay, 25% is a bit pushing it, right? But this gives you a more meaningful number than just now 100% per year. So just now earlier, whatever you did, right, it might all sound great and whatnot, but over here, calculator, right, you can't run away from it, right? Because if suddenly the calculator shows they need about 50% every year for the next 10 years, it's going to be quite unrealistic. So to make sure, my suggestion is between, right, about 5 to 25%, right, and, right, for you to have good number. Of course, does it mean that every single you must hit the amount? No, right, but it gives you a good idea, right, of how realistic, right, or when it comes to achieving some goals. Okay, so this part one, right? Part two, right, talk about allocation, right? So you can add in all the numbers here. So the salary, let's say, is $10,000, right, and then you can start adding in the numbers over here, right, such that, right, you can have a good amount, right, of what each one means to you. So you can just adding in the numbers over. You can start adding in the numbers over here and just making sure that all eventually hits about 100%. Let's put it here, right? So just make sure that this, right, is going to be the same number as this. So in terms of the calculator, right, I'll just put it the same as this. Okay, so 100%. So once this is done, right, the third step over here, right, you just have to make sure this is what I call automation. And automation just means that you actually go to the bank, right? You can do it online right now and create what we call a standing instruction to automate, right, the amount every single month, right? Oh, let me just change here, right? That every single month, right, you're going to, right, put a standing instruction automatically going to deduct from your main salary income account, right, and put it into these 3 sections. So in this portion, you can customize it to different bank accounts. So for me, I have 4 different bank accounts, right? I don't look to optimize, like I said, the 0.5%, right? I do it more for psychology, right? So I have one account of financial freedom, right? So I can put it for investments, right? Another one for long-term savings for my big for my big purchases, my wedding, my houses, my renovation, right? And another one for education as well. So obviously, this is just an example. It's not going to be too much, also. Okay, so education should just be, right, if you look at the calculator over here, right, this amount should be this amount. Okay, and this for long-term savings, right, you realize, right, you put this over here, and for financial freedom, right, the numbers over here, right? So the rest, right, it will be for bills, your giving, and your playing, right? And so what this is meant to do is what I call your guilt-free spending account. That means as long as your bank account, right, over here doesn't decrease a certain amount, right, everything else can be pretty happy about. Because why? You know that every month automatically, right, the funds are already allocated to those important sections. So the only point is, that's why if you are very clear here, and if you are very clear here, right, again, it's a one-time install, right? You don't have to ever go and think about it too much again. And you know everything is well secure, and any increase in income is going to be a bonus. So what I do is I review this, right, on every 6 months to a year, right, for me to make sure I'm still on track, right? And it allows me to be very clear my financials, my goals, right? And know everything else, right? I just focus on generating or growing my income. Okay, so the last portion over here, right, you should do this, and of course you can always send it to a group for us to take a feedback, right? What you do, right, is then I will create a pledge, right? So to really just draw and put this all together, all you need to do is just to write this pledge, right? I can write it down, right? I can type it down, up to you how you want to do it together with your vision board, right? And write by what date, that means how many years, right? So let's say 10 years time, right? Put 232, right? I'm so grateful that my possession, blah, 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 right? To achieve it, I will do it by allocating at least either percentage or dollar amount, up to you, right? Into my financial freedom account. This is going to be a main important one, right? And here's why I'll do it. And what you write is a belief, right? Number one, you're going to write about your purpose in life. Why do you do what you do, right? Number two, right? A belief about yourself, right? Why do you feel that you can do it? Right, you're going to remind yourself, right, every single day. You can take a look every single day for the next 90 days. I guarantee you your life will be different. And number three, right, a belief about life. The fact that life is abundant, right, and you have whatever it takes to make the money. Okay, I believe I have this amount of money, right, and my money is working for me, and this helps a lot. And you sign off your name and your date. And this will seem a bit woo-woo to some of you, but I guarantee you when you write a declaration like that, you put a physical piece of paper, you print out, right, take a look at your finances in a couple of years' time. I guarantee you, right, it's going to be very different because you have that declaration and take a look every single day for the next 90 days, right? You're going to realize some things will be very different in your life for the better. Okay, so sample, right? My 31st December, right, I have my possession $4 million in my cash investments account. To achieve it, I'll allocate at least 10% of income, right? And these are the three reasons, right? And I believe I have the money. So this is inspired by a couple of different declarations, commitments, right? Mostly from this book called Think and Grow Rich, right? It's a book I read many years ago and still helping me right now. And I hope that you use this, right, for your own benefit. Okay, if not, right, I hope you enjoy this training, right? I guarantee you implement exercises you have not done, so don't just watch it, right, and then not do anything with it. Implement exercises, right? Let us know, right? You can put in the chat, the group, right? We need some support and feedback, right? If not, right, I'll see you guys in the next video training.